Greetings, my name is Jeff Norby, and I'd like to welcome you to this spotlight lecture on the qualitative differences of the preschool-aged child. Meet Jean Piaget. Piaget was a Swiss psychologist and philosopher, and he's likely the most recognizable figure in developmental psychology and the first person really to make a systematic study out of the way children think, that is the cognitive development of children. He devised a series of tests, simple yet ingenious tasks for children to do that would reveal the cognitive abilities of children of different ages. And he was equally interested in children's wrong answers and right answers, and really most interested in the reasons that they gave for the answers. And in doing such tests, what he came to note is that children are not merely lesser forms of adults, but instead they're qualitatively different than adults. That is to say that a 6-year-old is not simply three more of what a 3-year-old is, but instead is cognitively different. There are things that a 6-year-old is capable of understanding that a 3-year-old will not, no matter how much teaching, or that an 8-year-old could understand that a 5-year-old will not understand. They are apples and oranges in terms of their cognitive abilities. And of course, when we talk about this, college students oftentimes ask specifically what some of these differences are, things that a 4-year-old might understand that a 2-year-old would not, or something that a 16-year-old would not understand that his or her parent would understand. And so what we'll do here is we'll look at three simple tasks that illustrate three qualitative differences in the preschool age child. That is the child from about age 3 to 7. The first of these three tests is known as a test of conservation, a Piaget-like test. And conservation is an ability, it's a concrete, logical ability that typically adults have. To conserve means that you understand that just because the appearance of something changes does not mean that its physical qualities have changed. So what you're looking at here is a test of conserving liquid volume. And if we go from left to right, what the girl is asked to do is she's first asked if those two glasses have an equal amount of liquid in it. She verifies that, and then the researcher in the middle frame pours the liquid from one glass into a tall cylinder, and finally she's asked this question at the end. Does the glass on the right have more liquid? Does the glass on the left have more liquid? Or do they have the same amount of liquid in them? And of course, we know that they have the same amount of liquid in them, in part because they just looked identical and they came out of the same glass, but also because one is taller and the other one's wider. She clearly does not understand this. And what we mean by a qualitative difference is that attempting to teach her this or to change her mind is going to be fruitless because she is just not there yet cognitively. Here you see on the left conservation of mass and on the right conservation of number. This young boy on the right is likely suggesting that the row closest to us of quarters has more in it because it's longer. So he lacks conservation of number. He's incapable of conserving number. And again, teaching him or attempting to teach him is going to be fruitless. Instead, we'll just wait a year and a half when he'll likely start to understand. So why do children fail to conserve at ages 3, 4, 5, so forth? There are a variety of reasons, as you see here. I'll just mention one. One of these is that they likely centration. They center on one feature. So if you go down to the bottom here and look at the glasses and the cylinders with the pink liquid in it, in frame C, they likely will focus on the height of that cylinder and say that it has more. Sometimes they'll focus on the width, but they're not very good at focusing on both. And I'm sure you'll go through some of these other reasons as you discuss these tasks in your class. Okay, a second concept we'll look at where preschool age children differ is what's called the theory of mind. And this is an ability that comes about at around age 3, between age 3 and 4. And to have a theory of mind means that you understand that other people have minds of their own and that they are not your mind, and that other people are not capable of knowing what you're thinking, nor are their thoughts the same as yours. So until age 3, or a little bit more than that, children lack this theory of mind. Thus, they believe that whatever they're thinking is reality, and that whatever they're thinking, everybody else thinks, and that whatever they know, everybody knows. With lacking this means that a child under the age of 3 is incapable of deception and lying, because when they lie or attempt to deceive somebody, they believe that everybody knows what it is that they're lying about. And so here we have a test that's called a false belief test, and it simply goes like this. The father places that ball in the nightstand with the child and the mother watching. The mother then leaves the room, and the child knows that the mom's leaving the room. With the mom gone, the dad places the ball from the nightstand under the bed, and the child is then asked, where will mom look for the ball when she comes back into the room? If the child understands that mom has a mind of her own that does not know what he knows, that is, if he has a theory of mind, he'll state that mom will look in the nightstand. But until the age of 3, most children will say that mom will look under the bed because he knows it's under the bed and he thinks everybody knows what he knows. So 3-year-olds almost never get this. They're confused about what they once knew and what they know now, what somebody else might think and what they think. 6-year-olds almost never confuse this, and then there's a gradation in between. And this is the heart of developmental psychology right here. When a 3-year-old understands something, 4 and 5-year-olds kind of get it, 4 or 5, and then 6-year-olds always get it. This is cognitive development in action. Finally, our third item that we'll look at is what's called the understanding of symbols and scale models. So using symbols is a huge cognitive feat. To use symbols means we understand that one thing represents something else. And of course, children use symbols to engage in pretend play. They need to use symbols when they engage in language. Language is all about symbols. Some make the argument that a 3-year-old is more similar to a 21-year-old than they are to a 2-year-old, because what a 3-year-old and a 21-year-old have in common that a 2-year-old does not is their ability to use symbols, because symbols are so important in the way humans operate. So what's going on here is called a scale model test, and these girls here of different ages are looking at a scale model, and this is simply a scaled down version of, say, this. This happens to not be the same room, as I couldn't find the same picture, but it would be as if you took this room and shrunk it down and put it in a shoebox like this. And you then hid an object, a large object, say a toy truck, behind one of those pillows. And the girl watched you do it, and then you told her that in the next room, in the model, there was a small itty-bitty toy truck in the same position. And the question is, would she understand that this little room is a representation of this large room? Would she go to the correct place and find the smaller toy truck? Okay, and the result is that typically 2.5-year-olds show no comprehension of this, and 4-year-olds have it mastered. So if we go just from a 2.5-year-old to a 3-year-old, a 6-month difference, there's a huge variation there in comprehension. And again, this is the heart of development. 2.5 to 3 to 4 years old, we see change and gradation, going from completely not understanding it to completely understanding it. So we'll finish here, and in closing, the cognitive abilities here of conserving and of theory of mind and of understanding symbols. These are all parts of normal development, the normal developmental process. They unfold at known periods. So I'm sure you'll discuss other qualitative differences in your respective classes, and I wish you the best in your pursuit of developmental knowledge. Thank you.